Hello and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on safety in the workplace. We also have news stories for you. We will be right back. The International Labour Organization has projected that 2 million workers may lose their jobs in the year 2024, as the global unemployment rate will be up from 5.1% in 2023 to 5.2%. In the latest report titled World Employment and Social Outlook, Trends 2024, the ILO stated that joblessness and the jobs gap had fallen below pre-pandemic levels, but global unemployment would rise in 2024. It added that growing inequalities and stagnant productivity were cause for concern. The global unemployment rate has dropped in 3 consecutive years, declining from 6.9% in 2019 to 5.1% in 2023. The report indicated that labor markets had shown surprising resilience despite deteriorating economic conditions, but recovery from the pandemic remained uneven as new vulnerabilities and multiple crises were eroding prospects for greater social justice.
2024 no doubt holds a bag of promises for every Nigerian worker who looks forward to earning a living wage, as promised by President Bola Tinubu in his New Year message. This working visit by the Minister of State for Labour, Nkiruka Onyeji-Ocha, is to explore areas of cooperation and synergy for a seamless working relationship. She says the Tinubu administration is ready to partner with Nigerian workers through the Labour Center to prioritize their welfare.
We are interested in the welfare of workers, Nigerian workers. We are interested in their health. We are interested in the environment they work. We are also interested in the wages. And of course, I know that the wages are being reviewed. I've read some pieces of information from social media platforms. And I want to assure you that the federal government is committed to fulfill their obligations.
She says the ministry is far from being a conflict-resolving entity alone, as she calls on the unions in the country to use strike as last resort.
To partner with you to make sure that Nigerian workers are satisfied. And I'm sure you're going to cooperate with us to make sure that our economy improves. Because every time we embark on strike, then Nigerian economy goes down. We incur a lot of losses.
For organized labor, the visit, though long overdue, demonstrates government's commitment to working with Nigerian workers, but it calls on government at all levels to stop alleged violation of trade union rights. NLC president attributes industrial disharmony to government's failure to fulfill own side of the bargain in agreements duly entered into.
In this year that we know that it's a year of hope, it's a year of restoration. It's a year that we have to recover all that we have lost in the previous years. And it's a year that we go for mutual relationship for the betterment of the working people of Nigeria.
Nigerians are hoping to see an end to recurring face-offs between government and organized labor in the overall interest of the country's economy. Young and full of life, Tahiru Quadri had a vision to become a reputable electrical engineer in Nigeria and beyond. In April 2008, he secured a placement at the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PHCN, Lagos, for his internship as a 400-level student of electrical engineering from the Olabisi Onabanjo University in Ogun State. But on the 5th of May, barely 2 weeks into his industrial training, tragedy struck. While on official assignment, Tahiru Quadri was electrocuted, a situation caused by a breakdown in communication between a dispatch operator and a switch operator at the office, and his life came to a standstill. His academic journey also ended abruptly. Thankfully, Tahiru Quadri lived to tell his story, though with visible scars of the tragedy. His colleague died in the process of trying to save him.
It has been very, very traumatic for me, for my family, and one of the saddest things for me is that I couldn't complete my education.
Since then, his life has taken a different turn. It depends largely on family members, particularly his wife, for feeding, bathing, and more.
It has not been easy, but thankfully to my dear wife, who has been very, very, very supportive. She's always with me 24/7 for whatever I need. But I just know that she was God sent.
But he's active on social media, makes calls, and he shows me how. This brief ceremony to present him a check has brought back memories of his struggles. The battle for compensation started in 2016 through Wale Raji, member representing Ekwe Federal Constituency, where Tahiru Quadri hails from. As the brief check presentation lasted, Tahiru Quadri's wife, Azizat, managed to control her emotions.
Let the will of God be done.
Wale Raji recounts the quest for justice by the 8th, 9th, and 10th House of Representatives.
The common saying that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But with this, it has been demonstrated that through the legislature, people can seek redress when they suffer one denial of rights or injury one way or the other.
Through the Committee on Petitions, the House awarded 100 million naira to the victim as compensation from PHCN, but the resolution of the House remained so until now, when NEMCO finally agreed to pay 30 million naira after a series of computations.
He survived it. His colleague would not survive it. Now, NEMCO, you are here today presenting a check to Mr. Quadri. I want you also to consider, in spite of the fact that there is no petition before us, in respect to who has lost his life, try and reach out to the family.
When we have good leadership in position, even our constituents will also get the dividends. This is part of dividends of democracy, because if you have voted a bad leadership, there will be no result as of today.
NAMCO hopes that this goes some way to helping to alleviate the suffering of Mr. Quadri and his family, and we will continue to provide support for him and his family where we can, and we're still looking at opportunities where we can be of some assistance to help him further.
Tahiru's wife of over 13 years recounts her family's ordeal. The mother of 3 tells me it has not been easy coping with the sad reality of her husband's fate, but she's thankful all the same.
It has not been easy at all, I must tell the truth. But with God on our side, we thank God for today, that today comes to reality. And we really thank God for those people that has been in support, especially Honorable Wale Raji.
Tahiru Quadri's father and Representative Wale Raji advised the couple to make good plans and invest more.
He's not a small boy. Some of his colleagues, they are in National Assembly, they are in House of Assembly.
The thing that I've assured the family is that we'll continue to support them, and we have given some advice in respect to the use of the money, and we will continue to support them.
Tahiru Quadri is grateful for all the efforts that have led to the compensation, but says it is not enough for his lost arms.
Without undermining the National Assembly's effort, this 30 million, well, probably it will improve my life, but psychologically it cannot erase anything from me. Is it the educational career that has been trashed into dustbin? It is my psychological life that is can never be balanced again.
Tahir Quadri is one of the hundreds of Nigerian workers who suffer one form of disability or another in the line of duty. With a 30 million naira compensation, Mr. and Mrs. Quadri are hoping to start a new life. More importantly to them is the quest for more financial support, especially for the procurement of artificial arms and the education of their children.
On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with Honorable Wale Raji, a member of the Federal House of Representatives representing Ekpe constituency. He brings us up to speed on the updates on the need to end casualization of workers in Nigeria, how the bill has fared so far, what workers should be expecting. He also spoke about his role towards ensuring that one of his constituents received compensation after suffering from a workplace accident. To have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
It's been a long time. I think the last time we had a conversation was when you raised the bill. You know, for minimum wage then?
No, not minimum wage.
Contract workers.
Yeah, contract workers.
Yes,
you
when
know,
you tried to raise the bill.
yeah, contract workers. You know.
How far did the bill go?
Well, it could not. The process could not be concluded in the last assembly. And I think we are starting all over again. But the whole idea behind it, the objective remains the same, to criminalize casualization with a view to protecting the interest of Nigerian workers. You know, so that's where we are.
Okay, so very quickly, let's move on to a particular incident that happened some years ago, about 10 years ago, if I'm correct.
I think 2006 or 8, sort of.
And
yeah.
that's more than 10 years ago.
Yes, more than 10 years.
Because I remember very clearly that I actually worked on that story then when I visited the man in particular that actually suffered the accident then some years ago. That's about 4 years ago, just before COVID. Very quickly, I would like to ask you, what did it take for you to actually be able to get compensation for this injured worker?
Well, first and foremost, Mr. Tairu happens to be from my constituency. Even if he had not been from my constituency, for as long as he's a human being in Nigeria, it would have definitely have attracted my interest. But coincidentally, he happens to be from my constituency. And when the matter was brought to my attention, I mean, I consider it a duty, you know, to see what we could do, you know, to assist him. So that resulted in a petition, which we assisted him in putting together. And it was tabled, you know, before the House, you know, on, I think on the 16th of March 2016, you know. So it was referred to the Committee on Public Petitions, and after back and forth, you know, an award was made by the committee, but eventually we entered into negotiation and all what have you. So it resulted in the payment of 30 million. We secured an agreement with the NEMCO, National Electricity Liability Management Company, you know. So the inheritor of the debt of, assets and of liabilities of the defunct Power Holding Authority of Nigeria, PSCN. You know, so that payment was made in December, 30 million naira, and Mr. Tairu has since received his money.
Okay, very quickly, as a lawmaker, an experienced one at that, generally, what would be your response towards the challenge of unsafe workplace? In recent times, personally, and I know many other journalists have done stories of workplace accidents. Accident would even happen, the organization will continue to work or to continue to do its business. As a lawmaker, what more do you think we should be looking at towards ensuring that we have more safe workplace?
Well, we have to work on the law, the relevant law. That's the Nigerian Factory Act, to strengthen it such that workers, when they get involved in accident in the course of work, are duly compensated. And even apart from compensation, the safety standard, has to also be looked into. There should be a minimum safety standard so that our Nigerian workers are not unduly exposed to danger while in the course of working in their workplaces. So I think it's part of the thing we are looking into, to review the law, strengthen the law, such that to take care of such situation.
Okay, generally we know that there are so many other people that actually fall into this category whereby they will be injured, and perhaps many a times the company will refuse to actually do the needful in terms of compensating them or still absorbing them into the system. What would be your advice to maybe any worker that might actually fall into this category? And even though Tairu has actually received a certain amount of money, don't you think you should still be able to offer one or two services in the power holding system in the electricity sector?
Well, in the case of Tairu, we are going beyond the compensation. We'll continue to give him all the necessary support, to ensure that at least he lives a normal life, Although the effect of the accident was so much that, he cannot get back to his normal life. He lost his 2 arms, and but we will continue to. I may not want to disclose what we are doing, beyond the compensation from NEMCO, to support him. But definitely we are not leaving him alone. So as for those who had fallen into similar situation or that might fall into similar situation in future, I think that they need education on their rights as workers. But one of the major problems, we have is that most times they resort to legal action, which is very expensive and it could be frustrating, In actual fact, in Tairu's case, all attempts to get compensation, through the regular legal system in the National Industrial Court, did not yield any result. It was on it for years, before we came in. And to the glory of God, we were able to sort everything out and it got compensated. So, but I think the relevant department in the Federal Ministry of Commerce and Industry, will have to be up and doing, and the Factory Inspectorate Division of the Federal Ministry of, they are not doing enough, they are not doing enough because they are supposed to force the safety standard, but I don't think they are doing as much as expected, of them. So these are part of the review, that I'm working on right now, to ensure that that department, does what is expected of it,
So going forward again, I would like to take you back to the issue of casualization of workers in Nigeria. How soon should Nigerian workers expect that bill to, be represented on the floor of the House? Because we all know that casualization of workers is a very big issue, and especially in the oil and gas sector, it has actually expanded its ugly head. And we know that the federal government tried to set up a committee to look into it at one point in time, to look at the legal aspects, but it didn't scale through. It's a new year, a new dispensation, a new legislative year. Since you've started it during the last, so how soon should we be expecting this?
Definitely within this the first quarter of 2024, of this year, the bill should be ready for presentation in the House.
Okay, so do you intend to carry organized labor, organized private sector along?
Definitely. No law is passed without having public hearing, to which relevant stakeholders will be invited, to make their contribution, So mine is to present the bill. At the hearing stage, public hearing stage, all the relevant stakeholders, will be invited, to make contribution, towards enriching the bill, and so that when the act is assented to, eventually it will meet the expectation of the stakeholders.
Finally, there's always this notion about lawmakers. Many constituents, many people in the constituency always feel, oh, whenever you have a lawmaker representing you, the person's duty is to just come and probably give them money. Would you want to just use this medium to just maybe re-emphasize the role of lawmakers constitutionally, so as to ensure that people are aware of maybe how they can seek redress, rather than just probably expecting monetary award from time to time?
Well, the issue of the pressure on lawmakers for financial support, from the constituents is a Nigerian factor. And as much as it puts so much pressure on us, we'll continue to manage the situation. I'm sure that you, as journalists, people around you, for as long as they see you gainfully employed, they feel that, look, you should extend you should extend hand of fellowship, to them. Is part of our culture. We are brother's keeper, but people take it to a ridiculous extent at times, So the responsibility of a lawmaker is well known to everybody. Lawmaking for good governance, oversight, and also representation. Representation, part of responsibility of representation is what we exhibited in the case of Tyro, and also given our situation now, intervention in filling the infrastructural gap through constituency projects, is another responsibility that we have had to bear, So, but so far so good. We're coping with it.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We're almost wearing the same color. It's going to be orange here. And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.